Hello, hello. Welcome to What's Working Now. I am your host, Katie Richardson. Today, we're talking about what happens when you make this decision to pick up the stick of entrepreneurship, and at the same time, you pick up the stick of leadership. And in that role, as a leader, we have to understand how to operate powerfully with our family, our friends, our team members, our customers, our potential clients. How can you operate powerfully? And sometimes we make mistakes. So what happens when we make a mistake that maybe affects a team member, a mistake that maybe affects a family member who's also a team member, a mistake that maybe makes us look horrible? What do we do in this kind of a situation? Today, I've got some incredible examples. I'm going to show you the 2 steps. It's not complicated. It's 2 steps. Are they easy to do? No. Is it extremely uncomfortable? It can be. I'm going to share with you a couple examples from my own life, from lives of clients, and you are going to know by the end of this what to do in that situation when you have that sinking feeling in your gut. Oh my gosh, I messed up. What do I do now? This is going to show you what to do in that moment. I mean, have you ever made a mistake? When I say that sinking feeling in your gut, do you know what that's like? Have you experienced time when you do something, maybe in the moment you were confident that was the right thing, and then we look back and we realize, wow, I really messed up. What do we do in this moment? So I had a client ask me this question. She had done something inside of her business. She wanted to know, Katie, what do I do when I've made a mistake and it's affecting my team? Oftentimes we think we can come up with a really good excuse, right? Some, backstory, why we did what we did that helps us get off and doesn't require us to take ownership of what just happened. So I want you to think of a time when you've made a mistake and how you responded to it. And I'm going to show you a new path forward, a new way to show up powerfully with your team, a way that's going to build trust, a way that's going to build confidence, both for you and for your team, and a way that allows you to stay in integrity. This is how we play the game here, by the way. That always has to include integrity. So what do you do in this situation? The first thing we do, well, let me tell you the story first. I had somebody that I really cared about, and we hadn't talked in a while, and they reached out to me and they basically wrote this very legal sounding letter that they never wanted to be associated with me anymore. And they didn't want me to talk about them, and please respond with received. And this was somebody I really cared about, somebody who I had helped in their life. And I was trying to figure out what happened between now and 3 months ago when I last saw you. And as we're having this conversation, as I'm reading this email in my mind, I'm thinking, what did I do? I did something wrong. I'm a horrible human being and I don't even know it. And I start seeing how this individual is kind of making up some stories and interpreting some things that I've said in a weird, funky way and turning me into a monster. And I didn't think that I was a monster, at least I hadn't seen it. And so I reached out to this individual, got them on the phone. Hey, is everything okay? I got the weirdest email from you. And they said, yes. In fact, I've never been better. And I've just come to realize I don't want to be associated with you anymore. And I was so confused. I said, hold on a second. Didn't we transform your life? Isn't your marriage better? Your relationship with your parents is better. Aren't you happily growing your business as you're building your family? Yes, all of that is true. And I think your intentions were off and I don't want to be associated with you anymore. It was really hard to hear and frustrating. And so we end the conversation and I'm feeling like, wow, what the heck am I doing? I'm helping people, changing their life, and then they're attacking me for it. Why am I doing all of this? This is not easy. This is hard. This is a lot of what I do is uncomfortable and stressful and can be at times overwhelming. And yet I put myself out there and this is what's happening. It takes me a couple of days to not have it out my mind 24 hours anymore. And just as I think I'm in the clear and I've let it go and I've moved on, I get this letter in the mail. It's typed up. It's typed. letterhead and saying similar things. And it's from the same individual. And at this point, I was like, I really felt like I was being attacked in my own home. It was really awkward and uncomfortable. And when I had gotten this letter, I was on my way out the door with my daughter. We were putting the scooters in the car and we were going to the park. We were going to ride scooters in the park. And all of a sudden I'm just thrown off again. And I can't stop thinking about it. And it feels heavy, feels so heavy. And I'm asking myself, like, did I do something wrong? Did I make a mistake? Were my intentions off? I'm asking myself all these questions. And there's this piece of me that's defending everything. It's defending all of it. And I get in the car, drive to the park with my daughter. We're about to get out of the park. And I just cracked open and I started crying. I was like, what am I doing? I'm helping people and I'm being attacked for it. And as I sat there and I'm replaying in my mind and I'm feeling this weight on my chest. And I'm just thinking, I want this. I don't want to live with this anymore. How do I get rid of this? How do I move past this? And as I'm sitting there crying, and my daughter's asking, what's wrong, mommy? And I said, somebody hurt me. And she said, did I hurt you? And I said, no, it wasn't you. And I'm trying to explain to her. And I noticed myself the way that I'm talking to her. I'm doing a very good job of turning myself into a victim and turning this other individual into a monster. And the more I was describing it out loud to my daughter, the more I was starting to see it. And I paused in that moment. And there's a really incredible question that we can ask ourselves in a moment like this. And it comes from a man named Terry Warner. He has written an incredible book called The Bonds That Make Us Free. It is the most incredible book. It will transform your relationships. It will transform how you lead within your company. It will transform your marriage if you're open to it. And I had recently read his book, and he asks a really powerful question in his book, which is, might I be in the wrong? I'm sitting there in this moment, painting the story to my daughter, turning this other individual into a monster. And I pause and I ask this question, might I be in the wrong? And that's when I started to see it. I saw how I was turning them into a monster. I knew they weren't a monster. Did they maybe get a few things wrong? Maybe, but they're not a monster. So what do I do at this point? How do I correct things? Because I don't think my intentions were off, but that was their perception. So how can I stand in integrity and do what is required to align with this individual again and to align with myself, right? To not be in this internal conflict as I'm trying to go ride scooters at the park with my daughter. So I finally see it. I see the path forward. Do you want to know what it was? The path forward was to apologize. It didn't make logical sense in my mind. In my mind, I hadn't really done anything wrong, right? That was my ego, by the way. That was believing I hadn't done anything wrong. I was doing something wrong. I was turning her into a monster. And to apologize would be to own my piece of it. Something I tell my kids all the time, takes two to tango. And I was entangled with this individual by continually defending myself, defending my ego. So I pulled up my email and I wrote a really short email. And it just said, I want you to know I received your letter in the mail. And I'm sorry that I hurt you so much. I want to know if you'll forgive me. Love, Katie. That was it. It was very short. Did my ego want to explain everything about what happened and how she was misperceiving things and how I'm really not that awful person she thinks I am? Yeah, my ego wanted to do that. But I knew that the powerful way to align with somebody is to take ownership and to apologize and to not give the backstory. So I did. I knew these principles to be true. Applying them, it's not easy. Send off the email, 24 hours later, my phone rings. This time I'm out with all of my kids, phone rings, and it's this individual. And I answer the phone and they said, Katie, I got your email. It was very short, yet it spoke volumes. And I want to know if you'll forgive me. Wow. It was amazing. It was incredible. I mean, when I had sent that email the day before, I was set free. I was set free. Like, I didn't need a phone call from them. I didn't need them to apologize to me. I had set myself free because I owned my piece of it and I apologized for hurting their feelings. Was that my intention? No, but that is what had happened. And I owned that. Did my ego like that? No, it felt like there was a piece of me dying. And when they called the next day, that's when they set themselves free. Isn't that beautiful? So how does this relate to you? I want to kind of take that experience, take that story and kind of break it down for you. There were two major elements to this. The one is to confront. You got to confront and own your piece of it. I didn't want to do that. It was uncomfortable. How did I do that? I asked that question. Might I be in the wrong? The second piece is you have to apologize and don't give the backstory. Forget the backstory. The backstory takes away the apology. It means, yeah, I didn't really mean that. That's what the backstory does. Don't do that. Just own it. Is it going to be uncomfortable for you? Yes. But that discomfort is the very thing that you actually need. It's the thing that will allow you to create alignment with them because you're taking ownership. It's your ego that's uncomfortable, not the true infinite you. It's your ego. What does this look like in another situation? I had a client. She was amazing. So she was following this really cool influencer, and she is this branding expert and she creates really incredible videos for people. And this influencer that she was watching on Instagram had just posted a brand promoting video, and the brand promoting video in her mind was super cheesy and it was not up to the level of sophistication that this influencer is and has. And so she sees this video and she's like, oh my gosh, this is embarrassing. This is horrible. And she screenshots it and she sends it to her husband. She's like, can you even believe this? This is so awful. But guess what? She didn't send it to her husband. She sent it to the influencer. She sees what she has done, immediately reaches out to me. Oh my gosh, Katie, I just made a huge mistake. I think what I'm going to do is, and she makes up this whole backstory, this pretend scenario, why she would have been sending that to him. And she says, I think that's what I need to do. And I think I'll get off clean and you won't ever know what was going on and we can still be friends. And I said, okay, you could do that, but where does that lead? Where does that have your integrity? Is that who you want to be in this world? Do you want to be the person who, when things go bad, you make up stories, excuses for yourself? Or do you want to be the person who takes ownership and aligns with your integrity, even when it's uncomfortable? And she was like, I want to be that second person. That's who I want to be. But I need your help. I don't know how to do this. Like, how do you do that? And I said, you take ownership. So what are the steps? You confront it and you own it. So what did she end up doing? She reached back out to this influencer and said, she leaned into how she believed their brand was more sophisticated and elevated. And this video did not live up to that standard. And she owned up to that with this influencer. Do you want to know what happened on the other side of that? They respected her and trusted her more, and it deepened their relationship. So she thought it was going to drive the influencer away, that she was going to lose his potential work as a potential client. And instead it did the opposite. It deepened their relationship. It had him respecting her. It had him wanting to know more about her services and how she could help him create an elevated, sophisticated video. Was it easy to do that? No. Did she feel like a person of integrity on the other side of that? Yes. Was she in alignment? Yes. How does this relate to you? You are amazing. You're an entrepreneur. You're building something amazing out there. And as you move through life, you will make mistakes. If you're a human, which I'm pretty sure you are, you will make mistakes. You just will. And when you make that mistake, you can make up the backstory, come up with an excuse, tell some white lie to try and get off. When you do that, you diminish your trust with yourself, you diminish your integrity, and you actually create a separation between you and that individual. The thing to do is to take ownership and to apologize. Is it easy? No. Will the you on the other side of that thank you for doing that and walking through that discomfort? Yes. Can you do it? I know you can. I know you can. So the next time you make a mistake, I want to invite you to take a pause, take a breath. Don't go down that path of making up excuses. You've done that before. Go down this path of taking ownership and apologizing. Don't give the backstory. I know you can do it. And you know what? I'm super excited to hear how this goes for you, because when you are building an incredible business, there's tremendous complexity. We will make mistakes. And there's a chance for you to develop your character, develop your strength as a leader by taking ownership and apologizing. Powerful leaders know how to apologize. So what can you do right now to start to implement this in your life? Is there somebody in your life? Usually when I tell this story, I have people come up to me afterwards and they're like, wait, tell me again how you did that, because I have somebody in my life who I haven't talked to in 5 years. And I want to say something similar, but I don't want to mess it up. If that's you, get out a piece of paper, write out what you're going to share with them, make it short, make it direct, take ownership of your piece of it and ask if they will forgive you. If you do, you will release that massive weight that's been on your shoulders for all of these years. You will set yourself free and you will move into this place of alignment as a powerful leader. I'm excited to hear how it goes. Okay, guys, thanks.